What's up, guys? Hockey TikTokies back again with an all-new video. In today's episode of the podcast, I will be talking about the Calgary Flames and their absolutely horrific start to the season. Today, I found out that the Calgary Flames are officially on the worst start of the season in their 45-year NHL history. So what that means, guys, is basically the Calgary Flames came to Calgary back in 1980, I think it was, and through 7 games to begin a season. Never once, not one time in the past 45 years has this team done worse than they currently have. They literally are tracking to be, they're on record to be the worst Flames team in history as of right now. Now, with that being said, guys, it's only 7 games into the season. Anything can happen. You know, the team could go on a 4 or 5 game winning streak tomorrow, and you know, before we know it, they're back to just treading water, being one of those middle of the pack, right near the center NHL teams. You never know what can happen, but it's really not looking too good, guys. I have been following along since the beginning of the season and trying to make sense of it all. What it looks like is they just are not in sync right now when it comes to just getting the bounces, getting the goals. I've seen some good stretches of play. I've seen some really, connected, good starts here and there. But when it comes to a full 60 minutes, I have never been able to see a full performance out of this team yet this year. And with it, in this very small amount of games that they actually did do well. For example, yesterday against the Winnipeg Jets, they lost 2-1. In that game, for example, they played well. They played hard. Dustin Wolf had a good performance as a goaltender. The offense had some pretty decent chances. In fact, that might have been their best game of the season, to be honest. Even in games like that, they seem to just not be able to get it done. There's a lot of people to blame for this. If you want to point fingers at any of the players, you basically can circle the entire team, though, at this point, guys. Nazem Kadri has had plenty of good chances and has driven the play, but he doesn't have a goal. Not one single goal to start the season. Jonathan Huberdeau, he was unfortunately injured at the beginning of the season. He missed the first, I think, 5 or 6 games. And when he came in, he put he put in a little bit of a good effort there. He got a goal, but it was in a losing effort. And the game really was a blowout. The goal didn't really matter when he came back and scored. Other people that were relying on for offense, like Matt Coronado, a lot of people were talking about him being a 30 or 40 goal scorer this season. He looked poised to make that step. He's never done it before. He'd scored 24, I believe, in last season as a rookie. A lot of people kind of said, well, he has the skill set. He has the shot, that great shot that can put him in the upper echelon of scorers and maybe get him up to 30, 40 goals. He's only got 2 on the season so far over 7 games. Our phenom rookie, Zane Parekh, he was supposed to come in here and give a boost to the offense and make the team look more lethal on the power play. And I believe so far this season, he hasn't even registered a point. There's other players too. Like I said, I'm just going over what I've seen so far, guys, and who's been performing, and I can't really find a single name on the Calgary Flames roster right now where you could point to and say, oh, they're doing a great job or they're doing what you expect of them. Connor Zary has been lifeless since getting bumped down to the fourth line. And he's bounced around a lot. I think in yesterday's game, the fourth line was back to being Kirkland, Lomberg, and Klapka, who out of all the Flames last night, I think they performed it decently well because they were the ones who kind of set up the Rasmus Anderson goal. But it's just, I'm so frustrated right now with this team, guys. It's not even like they're bad, you know, like it's not like they're like so terrible of a team. It's just, they're just not getting it done. Somebody needs to step up. Somebody needs to grab hold of the reins of this team and start pulling them in the right direction. You know, whether that be a veteran leader like Naz or a leader like Backlund or one of these young guys, one of these rookie guys like Hanzik or Coronado or Zane Parekh. Obviously some of these guys are not rookies. They're in their sophomore or even third season, but they need to kind of do something to turn this team around, or else they're going to end up in the basement of the NHL standings. And maybe that's all by design, guys. Maybe at the end of the day, Craig Conroy and his management team knew what they were doing when they didn't make any off-season changes, basically, from last season. If you look at the rosters year over year, the only major key player that they swapped out was their backup goaltender, because they had Dan Vladar, who has been traded, or not traded, but he signed over with Philadelphia this year and is performing at a very high level out there. I think he has something like a .935 save percentage so far this year. We could use a guy like Dan Vladar at this time, because Dustin Wolf, although he's extremely high potential, extremely high ceiling in terms of a goaltender, he's still inexperienced. He still needs rest, and he still needs somebody to pick up the slack when he's not playing his best. And I think Dan Vladar could have been that guy. So we lost Dan Vladar because he signed with Philadelphia. Who else? A fourth line center, Kevin Rooney, walked away. He wasn't really a difference maker last year anyways. And Kirkland was brought back into the fold. He played well in the season last year that he had, but it was a very short season for him because he suffered a knee injury. So he's kind of the other sort of major addition or change up to the lineup, but technically not, because he played half the season with the Flames last year anyways. And then who else? They had Anthony Mantha started the year with the Flames last year, and he didn't really make a big of an impact either before he was injured. So I guess what I'm trying to say, guys, is I think there's a chance that they looked at this roster of hockey players and said, these guys overperformed what they were supposed to be able to accomplish last year. They went out and they overachieved. And now, 7 games into the season, they may be underachieving. Maybe there is more offense to come, but when they go through dry spells, it's really bad, guys. It's really bad. Every team will go through dry spells where they're having struggles putting the puck in the back of the net. Even the best teams, even Vegas, will have a stretch at some point during the season where the pucks are not going in and they get shut out, or they only score 1 or 2 goals. Even Colorado will have a time like that. Even Edmonton, he'll have times like that. Florida Panthers, any of the top teams you can pick will have a stretch at some point during this season where they're struggling to score. But the difference is they have the backup and the secondary scoring that's not just reliant upon top stars all the time to get it done. Meanwhile, in Calgary, we don't even have that, upper echelon, elite talent that is needed to become one of the top teams in the league. So I think at this point in the year, if you're looking for the Flames to turn things around, it might not even be the best thing to happen to this franchise, guys, because when it comes to the draft this coming spring, the end of the season, it might be in the best interest of the Calgary Flames to go for the #1 overall pick and give themselves the best odds of being able to draft the difference maker, because the Flames have never once even drafted a guy higher than 4th overall. And I think it's been too many years of frustration. So yeah, that's that, guys. I don't even know what else to say. I'm so upset right now with being a Flames fan because the team is doing so bad, so poorly, but yet I'm so optimistic about the future of what this team could be, depending on how they draft and how that they move forward. You know, I think I said it before, and I might even say it again, guys. This might be the year that the team decides to actually tear things down. And by tear things down, I mean trade away anyone and everyone who won't be here for the new beginning of a new contender. So these are your guys like Nazem Kadri, Jonathan Huberdeau, Rasmus Anderson, Blake Coleman. If any team in the league was looking to add a veteran presence from the Calgary Flames, I think they should seriously consider picking up the phone and recouping some draft picks from these teams that might be looking for guys like that. And it's not that I dislike the players. I think Nazem, I think Blake, and I think Rasmus are all great players, but they just aren't right for this team right now. They would be better suited to play on a contender with their ages, their salaries, and what they have left in the tank, because we can't keep pushing on like this much further, guys. Unless things change tomorrow night in Montreal or against Montreal, I don't see how things can get much more bleak for the franchise unless things change right away. So it's not good, guys. Anyways, that's just my current thoughts, my current rants about the Calgary Flames. It's not good. It's not good at all. I can't wait to watch the hockey game tomorrow night against Montreal and see what happens. Maybe they turn it around, maybe they don't, but I'll keep you guys posted.